Hi everybody, it's Diane from California Tea and Herbal. How are you today? I was going to do probably the millionth version of the royal wedding and tea. And you know, after thinking about that, there's already so much being said. I decided instead to do something about a couple of amazing Japanese green teas that we have. Now, when you think of Japan, if you're like me and you're thinking of food and drink in Japan, I think of sushi and tea. I know that's kind of putting Japan into a box, but let's face it, everywhere we look, at least here where I live in Southern California, there are sushi chains and independent sushi restaurants everywhere. So those two things definitely come to mind. And in Japan, it's mostly green tea. And in Japan, just about, well, less than 5% of the Japanese tea is exported. And most of that is a type of tea called sencha. Sencha, and most Japanese tea, I should mention, is steam tea, as opposed to the Chinese pan firing. And so it gives it that beautiful creaminess that I really love. However, we have to be very careful because it's a very delicate type of tea and it can be burned very easily. Some people say it tastes grassy and some say it tastes fishy. And this can happen when it's not brewed properly. And it's so simple to brew it properly. So that's what we're going to do today. Now I'll show you what we have.
Okay, so here is what we are about to brew. On the left we have tropical green, and that is a Japanese sencha with these pretty blue cornflowers and the little chunks, there's 3 just in this little grouping, of real pineapple. And then on the right we have another beautiful creamy sencha, and this one has rose petals and cherry essence. So we're going to brew these today.
All right, now before we brew these teas, I would like to tell you just a little bit more about Japan. And I kind of traced an outline here of Japan so that you could see exactly where the growing regions are that are the largest growing regions in Japan, because they do grow tea throughout Japan. But the very largest, and I wrote it down because I told you once before I'm not good at pronunciation. So the Shizuoka. Would you believe I actually go to Google to the pronunciations before I say these names, and you'll get 3 or 4 versions of the actual pronunciation. So I'm saying it the best I can. The Shizuoka. And you'll see that right there on the map. It's down at the sort of just below the midline. And on this next photo, it's right there on the right. And about 45% or more of all the tea in Japan is grown in that prefecture or that region. And then the one right down at the bottom, look at the very bottom, and that's the Kagoshima prefecture, and about 20% is grown there. So those are the 2 largest growing regions in Japan. And most of the tea that comes from Japan is sencha. And sencha is simply it's a steamed, they actually process their tea in Japan by steaming, which gives it a creaminess that I really truly enjoy so much. And especially the 2 that we're having today are so beautiful. And so I wanted to also mention to you that about 80% of that tea in Japan is sencha. And then the other one that you would recognize is matcha. And of course matcha is really supposed to be a ceremonial tea, very high grade, powdered, but it has become something that's been totally adulterated but still delicious, because it's in everything from Kit Kats in Japan to the big coffee chains do matcha blendeds. We used to do them all the time. I've even showed you one on my film on my video on millennials about the creme de menthe and matcha blended that my nephew absolutely loves. So those are the 2 you would mainly recognize, and those kind of presentations really do well among especially younger people. And so that's why they're being done. And so now let's get back to brewing these two teas. All right, I'm going to brew these two teas in two separate vessels, so in two separate ways, and I'll show you. Now, if you haven't, you should see the video that we've done. I'm going to put these videos that relate to this up at the end, so you can just click on them. But here is what I've done. I have actually put the loose tea, I put the cherry rose, into a tea sack, and I put that into this little pot. And then I've just put my loose tropical green with the pineapple into this stainless steel travel tumbler, and I'm going to pour the water in and then cover them, and I'm only going to brew them for 2 minutes. Now this is the key to having delicious Japanese green tea. I'm telling you, friends, that you are going to hear lots and lots and lots of ways on YouTube's and in articles about how to brew Japanese green tea. I'm going to tell you something, and I say this lovingly to you. There are people who I call almost like tea elitists, where they want everything done absolutely by the book conventionally, and they think it's very cool to do it that way, and it's very cool to do, you know, infusion after infusion, and they can use very all the right language and terms. My bottom line, after, you know, selling tea in a cafe setting and getting 5-star Yelp and having people love it and get interested and excited about loose tea, it's one word: taste. And so to me, the taste results are everything. Now, one of the biggest mistakes is high temperature water that's too hot. Japanese tea is extremely delicate, and so if you hit those leaves with, or that bag, with hot water like you would hit black tea with, you're going to have one heck of a bitter mess on your hands. So you want that temperature to be about 170 degrees. What's 170, Diane? How do I know? I hate to have thermometers and all that too. So you can bring your water. If you have something like a water tower, you can set it at that temperature. But if you don't, if you just bring the water just to where it's starting to get the little bubbles, turn it off and wait about 45 seconds. Now see, I've been talking a while, and that's what I've let this sit, and guarantee it takes water a little while to cool off. So, you know, it's better to have it under temp than over temp on Japanese green tea. But it's been sitting now, and it should be about 100 and, well, some people even say around 150, but for sure not over 170. And then we're going to pour it over. And I'm going to pour this over the bag that has the leaves in it. You can buy tea sacks in a lot of places or online. And I'm going to pour it over the loose tea that I've just put into this steeper. Now I'm going to cover them both. And the other big problem with Japanese delicate green tea is time. Don't go over 2 minutes. So in 2 minutes I'll see it, and we'll pour this, and it'll be ready. Okay, everybody, I have removed the lid. It's been 2 minutes, and I'm going to show you how simple this is. Take out that tea sack and just throw it away. And I've chosen two very, very pretty cups from the collection that my wonderful friend and mentor left me. So there is that beautiful, ooh, I can smell it, that cherry rose. And then I'm going to use, for the loose tea in the steeper, I'm just going to pour it into this other beautiful cup right through this infuser. Ooh, I over poured here. So I'm going to stop, and I'm going to get a picture of these for you so you can actually see the infusion color, and I'm going to mop up my little overspill. All right, friends, the one on the left is the tropical green. The one on the right is the cherry and roses. I tell you what, they're both going to be absolutely delicious. And let's take them outside, and I'll taste them there. Okay, everybody, it's time to taste. And first, I'm going to go in for the cherry and roses. This is a Japanese green tea, a sencha. It's steamed, and let me pull it up here.
And so this is the green tea with rose petals, real rose petals, and a cherry essence. Super creamy, very gentle, not a hint of bitterness or grassiness. Get the essence of the cherry, and you can also really taste the rose petals, but nothing is chasing the other away. They all blend together beautifully. Now the tropical green. And this is the sencha steamed Japanese green tea. It has real bits of pineapple, and it has corn flour. And let's try it. The fragrance on both of these is amazing. Also not a trace of bitterness. This is so delicious. You really can taste the pineapple, but it's very subtle. You know, nothing should just jump out and punch you in the face with a delicate green tea, or it'll totally overwhelm it. So these are just perfect. And we'd like you to try them for yourself. Don't think you don't like green tea because you've had a bad experience, because you just haven't had the right experience. You know, a lot of times when I come out here to finish a video or do a little outside video shot, I remember that I'm in the city, because sure enough, I'll hear a siren or something else will remind me. But you know what? If you live in the city like us, you can turn your own little space into the country, and that's what we've done here. And I've made a beautiful place where I can come and I can enjoy some iced or hot tea. And honestly, tea is like an old friend to me. I hope you enjoy these videos. I hope you'll subscribe. Don't just watch, please subscribe, and tell your friends about them who are interested in tea. You might be a little intimidated and not know a thing about it, but you know what? I'm an old veteran and I'm still learning, and I love to share a little bit that I do know. So thanks again, and I'll see you next time.